certified real.
Hey, I'm a little excited.
You heard it here first. Certified real. Airborne.
You are now listening to Real Talk Podcast.
This is certified.
What's going on, people? Sorrel, and we're back again with another episode of Real Talk Podcast. We got the usual suspects in the building. You got myself, you got X, and you got Nisha. And today we have a very, very special guest. Very excited for this episode. Well, we have an actress, director, producer, writer, CEO. The list goes on and on. We got we got Jen Blanton. You want to introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. My name is Jen Blanton. It's short for something. So my full name is not Jen, but I'm not going to say what it's short for. I live in Dallas, Texas. I'm born in Texas, raised in Texas. I have spent some time out in LA, but I am a Texas girl, Dallas area specifically. So yeah, I have an extensive amount of time spent in the media, journalist as well, industry as well as the film industry.
Oh, that's very good. So tell us a little bit about how you got into the media / film industry. Like, what was it that drew you to that?
Well, that's something, I think that's a passion that I've had as a little girl. Like most people have whatever passion it is, whether it's sports or if you have a passion for medicine or you have a passion for animals, it's something that's in you. So it's always been in me. Haven't always had the opportunity to pursue it like I wanted to, but it started from a very young age. Again, in Texas, I'm in the South. The South is very much the Bible Belt, and you start out in church. The Baptist church, singing in the choir, performing, plays for the holidays and things like that, and at school. So that's where it all began. As far as how I got, that love of it.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I was looking at a lot of your, experience, and you have experience in a lot of different areas, acting, producing, directing, writing, and then even a little bit of reporting. So did like when you were first getting into it, was there like a specific field, like a specific area that you wanted to go into, or was it just kind of more generalized?
To be honest with you, I really wanted to be a singer initially. And I can hold a tune, but I'm not the best singer in the world. I can hold a tune. So when I was young, my teenage years, I was in several girl groups. I never wanted to be a solo artist, but, I wanted to be in groups. And I did that for a while, trying to get my crew together. But, when you're working with other people, it doesn't always work out the way you want it to. So a lot of fights and all that stuff. So my singing career never really got off the ground the way I wanted it to. But I always envisioned myself as being in entertainment as a whole, period. So when the singing didn't happen, I started doing some acting. Long time ago, they used to have these things here in Texas during spring break weekend called Freaknik. College kids go on spring break. They go to the different beaches. You can just imagine what goes on there. So one of the local radio stations here would always cover it. So I won a contest because they were looking for some hosts. And me and a girlfriend of mine, we came up with the idea to do a double, a co-host audition. And because we were the only ones that thought of doing that, we ended up winning. So that was my first opportunity of being on television here locally, was when we won the co-host for the Freaknik weekend to host that. So that was my first little taste of things. I am a really firm believer in the law of attraction. You speak things into existence, and you may not always get them right then, but you are on a path and a journey to where you're going. After that, it would take some years before I got in front of the television again as a sports reporter. So that was my first introduction into that. And then life happened. And then once things in my life kind of ironed out and I was able to focus on my career, the first thing was my introduction back into it was with the broadcasting for the television station here in Dallas, where I covered the Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas Mavericks.
That's dope. So I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the reporting, because I think reporting is very similar to filmmaking, obviously camera, script, whatever the case may be. What kind of drove you to do the reporting? Was it similar to acting, directing? Like, was it the same motivation for all of them, or did you have something separate that you wanted to explore in reporting that you just couldn't get in acting on a film screen or directing or writing, whatever the case may be?
No, actually, I just wanted to be on television.
Okay.
That was my thing. I wanted to be on television, and the opportunity, I had directed a film a long time ago called Circles. This was before things are happening now where we can get these distribution deals. It's getting a little bit easier for us to get these distribution deals, and we can put our projects on, get these deals with Amazon and Hulu and all that. But my little crew and I, we directed this film, and it was not the best. I'm gonna be honest with you. Don't go look for it. It's horrible. But we did it. We packaged it, and it wasn't distributed, but we sold it on Amazon at the time. And while I was doing that film and directing the film, the gentleman that I hired to come on and do sound for us, that I know, he was a producer at the television station. So once we wrapped that film, he approached me. He was like, man, you have such a good presence. You're great, da, da, da. Would you consider being one of our reporters? And I was like, heck yeah, why not? But reporting is a tad bit different. I'm not sure how everyone does it, but we didn't have scripts. So everything was impromptu. We would have to report on the stats of the game as the game is happening. So there is no script. Everything is live. And so that really hones your skills. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have the opportunity as you do with film or on stage. You go to rehearsal. If you're making a movie, you could say cut. No, you are live on television. So that really puts you in a position to where you've got to be on your game.
I have a quick question. So when you were starting out in the film industry, what would you say was the hardest part about branding yourself?
Well, the thing about it for me was because I did the sports reporting here locally in Dallas, I started to build a following. And that's because we're a very heavily driven sports city. It's not entertainment here, it's sports. Football is life. So for me to have to be out at a Dallas Cowboys game on the field and in the locker room, that's like being Michael Jackson, because Dallas is, it's a sports town. And so that started to build my brand as far as, people knowing who I am and things like that. So I had a very deep desire, because I love acting. I wanted to do entertainment hosting. Did some local plays here in Dallas, but then I moved to Los Angeles and I did entertainment hosting as well as acting there. So that merging the two eventually helped build my brand, but really and truly my brand started to build because of the sports.
Okay. That's dope. That's interesting, because so my question is, did you have some prior training to that, or where you just went straight from the church and then went your way like that? Did you take some classes? Did you go to school, something like that? Master class?
Not specifically for broadcasting, but while I was in school, and this is middle school, high school, when you're taking theater and, I played in the band, I was always doing something that I felt like prepared me for that moment to be in front of the camera. Everything that you do is a preparation for the next journey of your life if you pay attention to it.
All right. Okay.
So where do you see yourself, like, in the next few years? Like, do you think you'll be doing more behind the camera stuff or in front of the camera stuff? Because you seem to have, your foot in a lot of different areas. So like, where do you see yourself like most comfortable at?
I'm comfortable in both, actually. As I grow my company, Ginger Snaps Productions, I will have my first distributed film. We ain't gonna talk about that other one. It was a test run. I'll have my first distributed film released through Maverick Entertainment in 2022. I missed my deadline date to have it distributed this year, but that's okay. So it'll be distributed 2022 as well as my second film. So I have 2 films released next year. And so the first film, I think I did a small cameo in it. It's like a second long. But I specifically didn't want to be in front of the camera. Of course, I didn't fit a role in the movie, to be honest. You know, why put myself, I don't fit anything. But I also wanted to really concentrate on directing and honing my skills in running a set. One of the things, great knowledge that I gained in Los Angeles for the years that I spent there was learning how to run a set. So I would do a lot of background work on television shows so I could see how they ran their sets and how they, you know, moved and operated, and just took that knowledge and brought it back here with me. As I do more films, I will incorporate myself more into those films. But, you know, if I don't fit, if there's nothing for me in a film we decide to do, then it is not for me. And I'm okay with that.
So I love the idea that you was able to gain experience and then take that experience and put that towards your film. Like, I know that I don't fit in this. Like, you're able to make those decisions, because I think we see it all the time where we have directors who kind of force themselves into that position, maybe, you know, create a character that's not really needed or whatever the case may be. So I think that's interesting. And I think it's more interesting that you found that out on your own without having to, you know, spend thousands and thousands of dollars on, you know, school or something like that, because we do have that conversation a lot on the show, film school or no film school. So I would like to get your point of view on how do you feel about film school, or, you know, going to film school or not going to film school, or broadcasting.
Right. I definitely believe that if you don't go to film school and, you know, like go to have a degree in film, you still definitely need to take some type of classes. You should always be learning. I don't care what it is you're doing. You should always be learning. I use this, I tell people this a lot because I saw it with my own eyes. Kobe Bryant, and people are starting to notice, but I saw it with my own eyes. As successful as he was and as great as he was until the day he retired, every time I saw him play before he was playing, Kobe was practicing every game, before every game. And he had won several championships. So needless to say, you should always learn something. I myself I'm not very good with shots. So I'm excellent with performances, and I have the vision, and I can tell my DP, oh, I want this to happen, I want that to happen, I want that to happen. I'm not good with shots. You know, she's excellent with that. She went to film school for that. So I learned off of her, and then I'm like, okay, her name is Nick. We're pretty much a female-driven crew here. So I'm like, hey, Nick, I need to learn more about, you know, shots and, you know, all this other stuff. And she'll suggest classes for me to take. I'm not going to go to film school per se, but I do take classes just to, you know, stay knowledgeable.
And that's dope that you touched on that you're a female-driven crew. Do you mind giving us a little information on that? Like, how did you set that up? Was that on purpose? Did it just happen that way? How did that work out?
No, that was absolutely on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I think that's dope. I think we need more. We need more of that, I think. So I thought that was dope.
Yeah, my DP, her name, she's a female. She edits as well. You know, I'll be honest, you know, we do need fellas to come and hold the boom mic at times. I've used a couple ladies, and we be like, man, if she dropped that boom mic one more time.
It ain't easy. It ain't easy.
It's not. It's really not. That's what.
Right. Okay, you know, do the sound, and so, but we try to stay as female driven as heavy. And one of the reasons why I did that is because, you know, there's such a lack of representation for females in the industry. It's already a lack of representation for us, people of color, and then for women as well. And not that we're going to touch on this a lot, but then just some of the challenges that women have to go through when it comes to being in the entertainment industry. And I always wanted to make it a safe space at my company for females to work and not feel like they have to compromise anything. So that's another purpose for it.
Dope.
That's
I like the boom mic answer also. I respect it.
I do work with guys and stuff. It's not that I don't. It's just very few for now.
There's like a guy putting the application to the production company. She's like, no, guys, sorry.
No, like if you act, maybe I have a role for you there. Yeah.
What was it like, putting together a production company? Because that's something that I always had in the back of my mind. Like, I'm going to film school right now, just kind of learning everything. But eventually I do want to start my own production company. So like, obviously there's a lot that goes into it, but just real general, like, what is it like setting one up?
Okay, so we are independent, we're not like the Tyler Perry or whatever. We're small, we're just getting started. And for me, it was really difficult because I've been trying to do this for years, and it's just now starting to gel and form. And I believe that's because I still had a lot of life lessons to learn along the way. Me becoming more of a leader, being able to lead a team of people, knowing what I'm doing, first and foremost, know what I'm talking about. I had to go through that as well. But then finding people that you can trust, finding people that are dependable, and then that see the vision, because you were given the vision. Whatever your vision is for your company, whatever the genre is, it's your vision. And you have to find people that support, not only just believe in it, but they have to be able to support the vision. And that can be a little bit difficult. But, if it's a passion of yours and you really want to get it done, you will continue regardless of who's on the, on board or who's on the ship or not. People are going to come and go. But as long as you move forward, you'll get somewhere.
I know you guys. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I know that you guys are just getting started, but what would you say are the hopes for the future of your production company?
Just continue to put out as many products as we can, giving actors talent that don't have the opportunities to go to Los Angeles or go to Atlanta, the opportunities to be in some films, casted with some, because I'll start, I know some named people that we watch on television, all the time. Eventually I'll start adding more of them to the cast, but I'm not going to have it flooded with just famous people. No, I want to give those people like myself that once wanted an opportunity. So that's the main goal.
That's dope. So I have a really quick question. I know that you said that Texas is a real sportsy town where it's more sports driven than entertainment driven. So with your production company and in how you're going about it, where representation matters, of course, how do you see yourself breaking through that barrier of everybody just want to see sports, and giving those opportunities compared to like a New York City or an Atlanta that's coming up, LA, of course. So how do you see yourself being able to build that in Texas?
It's continuing to put out content. That's the thing. If you don't put out content and make yourself seen and make yourself known, then no one will know about you. Austin, Texas has a lot of film production that goes on. Quentin Tarantino is from Austin. He films a lot of his movies there. Sandra Bullock, Matthew McConaughey. All of those people come from Austin, and they still frequent there as well. And they're starting to do some small productions here and there out of Austin. They film True Blood out in that area as well. So Austin does a lot, but Dallas is starting to get some of that fallback. And as we continue to put out more products, like even now I'm starting to get people to reach out to me just for auditions alone from all over. California, just different places. So it's just making a name for yourself. And with the state of how we do things today with social media is a big help with that.
Definitely.
Back then, we didn't have social media to really promote anything. Now, social media is the key in technology. So I see it moving in the future.
So just moving forward, what are some battles that you had to face as you was coming up along the ranks from, reporting to acting, directing, writing? Like, what are some of those things that kind of set you back, in the film world, so our audience can, kind of prepare or see it coming or whatever the case may be?
There's a couple of things. Well, I kind of touched on it. One of the things that we women have to face, just being a woman in the industry, period, not being taken seriously because you're a woman. Things that probably, shouldn't be going on. And what we say, the casting couch, I've had to go through those issues as well, turning down things that I could have had I been willing to do certain things that, I'm not going to do. Like, I'm not going to do that for you when you're probably going to cut my scene on the editing floor. I can go and make a movie myself. Why would I do that? But funding is a huge thing. I think if people had money, a lot of people would get out there and do films, but you have to make the product for the money that you have. And sometimes that can be a challenge if you don't have access to a lot of funding. So that has always been a challenge. But again, with today's technology, it's getting a little bit easier to get around some of those financial issues. You may not be able to make the big budgeted movie, but you can at least make something.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, what were your primary ways of like funding a project? Because I know today now they have these different crowdfunding sources. Did you utilize any of those? Like, I guess GoFundMe, Indiegogo,
Kickstarter.
Like, what did you use? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't do any of those, and I don't think I ever will. I'm not a fan of those for some reason. I did regular, I'm going to work 9 to 5.
Oh, okay.
So this is, I'm going to
Respect
work,
that.
I'm going to pay for it. Getting, bartering on some things, doing fundraisers. One of the things now that we're starting to do here is host comedy shows. So it has a double benefit. You're bringing in funding for one, and then you're giving comedians an opportunity to be seen at the same time. So you just got to kind of be creative with certain ways to raise money. But primarily, we all like, okay, I'm gonna have to go do some extra shifts to get this done, but you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yep, definitely.
I wanted to ask a question about like your creative process when it comes to like making films. Like, I know everyone has a different way of how they come up with different ideas. Some people draw directly from their experiences. Others use, they draw inspiration from, events that happen. Like, what is it that you draw from when you create certain projects?
Well, the 2 films that I've done right now that I'm in the process of doing, one's already complete. Those were written by other people. Mm-hmm. So it was their script. Is that what you mean as far as writing?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was there. I took the first film we did, Chloe, that'll be released next year. It was I had a publishing company. I helped this young lady publish her book about 5 years ago. So I turned that book into a script. So it was technically, her story. I just kind of had to make it screen ready. The second one I'm doing right now was written by somebody else as well. So I didn't really have a process with coming up with the idea because it was their script.
So to piggyback off that, how did you select it? Like, what about those projects or those 2 writers' script that you like that, I want to turn this into a film?
Well, the first one was an associate of mine, and it was something that I had promised her I would do probably about 5 years ago. And I just kind of felt like, okay, after reading the story, it's like, if I can see it in my mind as a movie, then, it would interest me. And it's not, you don't read everything that you can see as a movie. But with the one we're doing right now, Facade, like it's I would liken it to a Waiting to Excel, but a little bit more modern day, a little bit more drama. But you have the three ladies that all have their relationship issues, and I could like literally see it, and I could see women that I know in those situations. So it's like, okay, yeah, we can sell this story. It'll be good. So it's just for me being able to visualize the product.
Okay, so that's interesting because you're kind of you're looking at it from I would say a producer standpoint of, can we make this in a film? Can it be profitable, et cetera, et cetera. So I kind of want to switch over to now that you've decided on the script and we're going to do, you're going to do this script. How do you go about your process of casting?
Of course, knowing who the characters are, because 9 times out of 10, as I've read the scripts, I've already visualized that person in the role, not necessarily their face, but I know, this character, I would want him professional. I want him distinguished. I would want him, X amount of height, X body build, or I want him a little bit more urban, a little bit more street. You kind of already know. Well, for me, everything is visual, how I visualize that person. And so then as people start to submit for auditions, when you're looking at, it's just an instinct. I don't know if you guys are, I know you guys are in the industry or performers, but you have that instinct in you. You can look at somebody and be like, oh yeah, that person can act. That's the one, whatever. And then when they get on screen, you either like, oh, okay, we'll catch you on the next film, or wow, that's my guy or that's my girl. So it's just an instinct. You got to go with your intuition a lot of times.
Okay. I actually like that. I actually like the idea of going with your gut. Like, I like this person. I can see this person in this role, or I can see that this script can be successful. I like that idea of going with your gut.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself like tugging and pulling between like for example, like say you're in the casting process and you find people that almost look exactly how you want them to look, but when it comes to their performance, it don't really match up. So it's like, oh, do I go with the one with the better performance, or do I go with the one that, he looks like who I wanted him to look like? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's difficult. We're going through that right now with with one of our last character that we're attempting to cast. Like, we'll have somebody come in and they'll look the part, but the performance, you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to spend, I don't know if I can pull it out of this one, for this particular role. And then vice versa. Someone will come in like, wow, they really did good, but man, they just, excuse my French, the ladies not gonna like that one. And we need the ladies to like that one. So for us, like, it's like, okay, we're still looking. We're not gonna rush it. We're gonna wait and see, the universe will send us what we need at the right time.
On average, how long would you say that your casting process takes for a movie?
That depends. Sometimes you can get people in and you can see them once or twice and pretty much instantaneously. Or like I said, in the situation that we're in right now with this last role, like we have been casting for weeks for this one person or months, maybe a couple months, and we still just haven't found them yet. The good thing is we don't start principal photography until October, so I still have a little bit more time.
Okay.
Before a decision is made. But eventually, when it comes down to the wire, and as my date gets closer, like by August, I've got to have a decision made. So. Yeah.
So my question is, are you the main one that make that decision, or is it like a cast and crew thing? Is that something you do with your producers, your DP, or anything like that, or is just this is what I like and that's what we're going with?
Typically 98% of the time it's a collective decision. I never run my organization like a dictatorship, because without those ladies, I wouldn't be doing what I do, and I value their opinion. and they can see a lot of things that I can't see a lot of times. That's why you have people there to help. But there has been, once or twice, I'll be like, hey, you know what? No, I can't use that person. This is director's decision on this. We're not going to go with that. It has to be a very specific reason for me to do that. And when I do, they'll be like, yeah, okay, no problem. I don't ever have any feedback on that, but it's very seldom that I do that.
That's good to know that actually happens in the industry, because when I was in not in film school now, but in my undergrad, I always had that, always had like a team of people I'll always use whenever I did projects, and we would kind of have that same relationship, just like, these are the people I'm going to be working with, for X amount of time, and I would never try to like be some sort of dictator, but it does come a time where you gotta, as a director, you gotta make a decision. And
right. Sorry. Yeah, there's sometimes, and if you have the people around you, like we said before, that support your vision, then they know when you need to make that decision and you need to stand firm on it. They'll respect that because they know that you have your reasons. So yeah, I think the team of people that I work with, they respect me, and thankfully they like me, so it works, pretty good. Yeah, you treat people well, and then they'll treat you, well.
Do you have any role models in the industry?
Interesting. At first I didn't, but when I had the opportunity to work on, I worked on How to Get Away with Murder. It was the episode with Viola Davis and Kerry Washington, where they merged the scandal and the How to Get Away with Murder. And I had the opportunity to be with Viola Davis that day, and she was an amazing woman. I had already respected her talent for who she was, and I did some work with Angela Bassett. And now I have to do a little name dropping only to tell why I feel this way. LL Cool J is really cool guy. I had an opportunity to meet a lot of people when I was in LA, and the one that I respected the most was Viola Davis, because this woman, she's got the Emmy, she's got the Tony, she got the Oscar and all of that, and then she was such a pleasing, amazing, giving soul to be around and work with. So definitely Viola Davis.
That was gonna be my question. I wanted to know that too. Viola Davis is amazing.
Yeah,
that's a dope opportunity.
You're just awesome. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna. What is one actor that you is she still the same? Is she the same actor that you would want to work alongside with also? Like
there's still a ton. Yeah,
okay.
I mean, there's a ton of actresses I would love to. I mean, I'm gonna, I'm like everybody, Viola, Kerry Washington, so Halle Berry, I still want to work with all of them. Yeah, absolutely. Any of them, all of them, all of them. Mm-hmm.
Do you have any, suggestions or advice to upcoming, actors, actresses, of course, directors, producers that's coming up behind you?
Yeah, I do. And I wish somebody forewarned me too. Don't be afraid of the word no. Don't let it stop you. Don't let it scare you. Don't let it make you not feel that you're not good enough or you're not worthy. Learn that no just means next opportunity. Don't let someone else's opinion of you make you feel less than what you are, because in this industry, you're going to hear no a lot. I don't care who you are. I don't care how beautiful you are, how handsome you are, how sexy you are, how talented you may think you are, and you are, you will hear no a lot. You have to be comfortable with being judged on your talent, your looks, your size, all those things, and not everybody's gonna like you. And once you know that and you don't let that stop you, you'll be okay.
That was powerful. I felt that. That was
the next
good.
opportunity did it for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that was bars right there. Wow.
Yeah.
So just I liked it. I liked it. What's your favorite genre, film wise?
My favorite what? I'm sorry.
Film genre.
Oh, horror.
Oh,
I love horror. Yeah, I love horror. I love this thing on Netflix last night. I think it was called Fear Street.
yeah.
I loved it. It was great. I can't wait for the third installment.
I haven't seen the second one yet. I watched the first one and I was surprised at how good it was. I guess I had low expectations for it.
You're right. Me
But
too.
I am interested to see the second one. So
I liked it. I like the second one. I think the third one comes out later this week. I'll be waiting.
So what's your favorite horror film since we're on this topic?
Oh, I don't know if I have a favorite one, to be honest. But I'm a tad bit older than you guys. So when I first got introduced to horror was, it's a little bit before my time, but it was like The Exorcist. And I've been a horror fan ever since. That was like super scary to me, as well as The Candyman. It's one of the only films I watched. I was a teenager at that time, and I can remember going watching it. And my mom was always telling me, you shouldn't watch those horror movies. And I came home from the theater and I refused to go in the bathroom because I thought if I looked in the mirror, the Candyman was going to come out and get me. So I just love them.
It's funny.
Are you excited?
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask, are you excited for like the new Candyman that's coming out?
Absolutely. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it.
It's interesting though, because I'm a huge horror fan, and then we took a horror class, and it seems like for some reason that generation before us, that is what did it. The Exorcist. It was like it was the scariest thing they ever seen, and they fell in love with it. But to watch it, when I watched it when I was young, I just didn't see it. I thought it was a decent film, but I just didn't see where the horror was, where I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the scariest thing I've seen.
Right. I think that's because now, we're kind of desensitized to the stuff. Like back then, that was the only scary thing on. But just think about since then, there's been like the slasher movie, the Screams, and the I Know What You Did Next Summer, and all the Evil Dead stuff, the gory stuff. So it's kind of like desensitized now. But trust me, back then, and like the Freddy Kruegers, like that was some scary stuff.
Those are my favorite. Nightmare on Elm Street are my favorite.
Yeah, love those.
So do you have any horror scripts or horror films that you're looking for that you're gonna do yourself?
Not horror, but I have a vampire storyline that I'll be doing. Mm-hmm.
Interested in that. I like vampires.
Yeah.
Do we have any more questions?
Definitely.
Do you have any questions for us? Anything you want? Or do you have one, sir?
No, it was just a quick little side question because I was looking at like some of the stuff you did on your IMDb page, and when I saw NCIS up there, I was excited as hell. Like because NCIS is like my favorite show of all time, like television show, period. So no, I guess like what were you like a fan of the show like when you were like before getting casted for it, or was it just something that you were just doing? I don't think I had ever watched NCIS. No? Okay. Before I got casted, it's weird in that was like my first real feature was on NCIS, and then I turned around while I was there and ended up working on NCIS LA, because you have all those installments. The New Orleans one, which I had opportunity to be on with C.H. Ponder and what's his name, Chill, that's in the wheelchair now. Then I did the regular NCIS, and then I was a regular on the NCIS LA, the one that LL Cool J is on, and Nia. I got to meet Nia Long because she would work as well on that. But no, I never watched it. I only watched the episodes I was on. I was just curious. I was wondering.
So I'm curious, how did that process work? Like, how did you get introduced to that casting? How did you get on the show? What was the process of getting ready, getting prepared for it, sitting and doing makeup, and like, how did that process go? How did it feel? What was that all about?
That was just that, dude. That's just the grace of God, and many years beforehand, probably all the affirmations that I said, not hearing no, letting no stop me I first did the first one that I got featured on, I was just doing background. And I was just thankfully, I'll never forget, we were in the makeshift hospital, and we're being held up, and they tell us to run out, and for some weird reason they liked the way I ran out and the way the door swung back and forth when I hit it. I'm like, okay, whatever works, but thankful for that, because they end up bumping me up. Same with This Is Us. I got my feature on there as well. Same way, I ended up getting my first SAG voucher from that. So a lot of that was just, man, believing and not, grace of God, and putting out that positive energy and knowing that, hey, I'm gonna go on this set today and something great's gonna happen. You speak that into existence.
That's dope. You got any more questions? You have any questions for us?
No, I'm just gonna be watching you guys and seeing how you guys progress along, and in the background. And if I'm ever in a position to help in any kind of way, I'll definitely be willing to do so.
That's dope. I'm sure we all appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely.
You close it out, Terrell, ready?
All right, well, that's the show, guys. Jen, Blanton, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come here and tell us about your experience. Again, guys, you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and that's the show.
Certified real.
Hey, I'm a little excited.
You heard it here first. Certified real. Everyone.
You are now listening to Real Talk Podcast.
This is certified